Welcome back to my channel. I am Karishma Attar, and this is video 8 in our essential series of how IGCSE Global Perspective responses are marked by Cambridge examiners. And today we are uncovering question 3's evaluation criteria, the hidden 8-mark system that separates top students from the rest. Most students don't even know this exists. After watching this video, you will master Cambridge evaluation hierarchy, that is how to explicitly evaluate reasoning and evidence quality rather than just describing what argument says. The second part you are going to understand is a 3-element assessment strategy, that is how to systematically evaluate reasoning strength, evidence and credibility, and language effectiveness for maximum marks. The third part is the judgment consistency formula, that is how to ensure your conclusion perfectly matches your evaluative assessments for maximum marks. So students who apply these structured approach typically gain 6 to 7 marks on the evaluation criteria alone, double of which is approximately a jump by a grade, that is from a C to B or a B to A, according to Cambridge's marking thresholds for global perspective, just from knowing how examiners mark you. Over these 12 videos in the series, I have broken down every single question type. Question 1A and B is getting those quick accuracy marks. Question 1C, perspective explanation using sources. Question 1D, significance argument using multiple sources. Question 2A, that is research evaluation skills. Question 2B, that is methodology and testing claims. Question 3, that is 2-part marking for argument comparison. And question 4, the 3-strand recommendation question, plus full breakdowns of individual report and team project marking. Each video will show you real student examples, actual Cambridge marking, and the exact techniques that work. All the links in the description, and subscribe to stay notified for your A-star journey in IGCSEs, O-levels and A-levels. So now let me tell you about Zara. She was a bright year 11, that is grade 10 student who came to me after consistently scoring level 1-2 marks on question 3's evaluation criteria. Zara said, I can compare the arguments and I know exactly which one is better, but when I try to evaluate them, I only get 2 to 3 marks out of 8. The examiner says I'm describing the arguments instead of evaluating their quality. Well, let me also highlight this part here. The student was very well aware of where she's exactly lacking. And that is an added bonus for me as an educator, or for all of us as an educator. So she showed me her latest practice answer evaluating 2 arguments about social media regulation. Her response was, argument A talks about protecting young people and uses research studies, whereas argument B focuses on freedom of expression and mentions constitutional rights. Both arguments makes valid point, but argument A seems more convincing because it has evidence. Argument B is also good because freedom is important. So overall, I think argument A is slightly better. The result was 3 marks out of 8, which is level 2. So what I could see was Zara understood the arguments, but she was describing rather than evaluating. And here's how we transformed her approach. So we showed Zara the actual Cambridge marking criteria for question 3's evaluation criteria. It revealed exactly what examiners want. Cambridge states that the degree to which it clearly and explicitly evaluates both the reasoning and the evidence within the sources to reach a judgment that is consistent with the analysis. The key words here are explicitly evaluates and consistent with judgment. Cambridge wants assessment of quality and not description of content. And let me now break down what each level actually demands. So level 1, that is the lowest 1-2 marks, they ask for arguments described, judgment with little support from evaluation. Level 2, 3 to 4 marks, little explanation given, judgment only partially supported. Level 3, 5 to 6 marks, evaluates range of reasoning evidence, generally consistent with judgment. And level 4, which is 7 to 8 marks, explicitly evaluates wide range of reasoning and evidence consistent with judgment. So Zara was stuck at level 2 because she was describing argument A using research. Instead of evaluating, argument A's research provides strong credibility because. Now let me talk about what exactly Cambridge evaluation hierarchy says. So what we taught Zara was what I call the Cambridge evaluation hierarchy for the top marks. So level 4 evaluation formula, that is maximum marks evaluation formula, goes like this. 1. Reasoning evaluation. So assess logical strength, coherence and validity of each argument's reasoning process. 2, evidence evaluation, that is, evaluate credibility, relevance, and sufficiency of supporting evidence. 3, language evaluation, that is, assess persuasive techniques, bias, and rhetorical effectiveness. 4, judgment consistency, ensure conclusion directly follows from the evaluative assessments. And that is how Zara transformed her answer using this hierarchy. Let me show how her answer looked like. As you can see on the screen, her answer was, argument A demonstrates superior logical reasoning through its systematic cause and effect structure, establishing that social media algorithms deliberately target developing minds, then logically concluding that regulatory intervention is necessary to protect vulnerable populations. This deductive approach creates strong logical coherence. In contrast, argument B's reasoning contains logical inconsistency, claiming that absolute freedom is essential while simultaneously acknowledging that some content causes harm, creating contradictory promises that weakens its logical foundation. The evidence evaluation looked like this. Argument A provides significantly more credible evidence through specific research citations, stating Cambridge University studies shows 73% of teens experience algorithm-driven anxiety, offering verifiable quantitative support from reputable sources. Argument B's evidence relies primarily on abstract principles, mentioning constitutional freedoms without providing concrete data about the real world impact and making its evidentiary foundation substantially weaker for policy decisions. While both arguments use persuasive language, argument A employs measured factual tone through phrases like evidence suggests that enhances credibility. So I'm talking about the language she started using. Now the next part is, whereas argument B uses emotionally charged language like dangerous government overreach that reveals bias and potentially undermines rational discourse. Now the next part of the answer was, based on this evaluation, argument A presents the more convincing case because this systematic reasoning, credible evidence, and the balanced language create a coherence argument that effectively justifies regulatory interventions, while argument B's logical inconsistencies, weak evidence base, and biased language significantly undermine its persuasive effectiveness. Now, when you look at this answer, the result was 8 on 8 marks, that is a maximum marks, and the 3-element assessment strategy that I had used over here was, you have to notice how Zara's level 4 evaluation systematically assesses 3 distinct elements. This creates wide range Cambridge demand. The word wide range, you will find it in the answer, in the mark scheme. 1, reasoning assessment question. What is done over here? Is the logic sound and coherent? 2, do conclusions follow from premises? 3, are there logical fallacies or gaps? 4, how well does the reasoning flows? Then the next part is evidence assessment questions. How to do that? These are the questions that you are going to ask yourself. How credible are the sources cited? Is the evidence relevant to the argument? Is there sufficient evidence to support claims? How recent and reliable is the data? The next part is language assessment questions. What persuasive techniques are used? Is the tone appropriate for the audience? Are there signs of bias or manipulation? And the last one is, how effective is the rhetorical strategy? The assessment formula pattern that you can notice in the answer is, first, argument element, that you will put it in the bracket, demonstrates. Then you will talk about quality level, because then you will talk about specific evidence from the source, which then you will talk about impacts on argument strength. This is a template of the answer. Now, the difference between level 3 and level 4 is judgment consistency also. Your conclusion must perfectly match your evaluations. This is how you end up getting maximum marks in this answer. I hope this video is going to be as helpful as it was helpful for so many of my learners in our A-Star Legacy Grade Transformation classes. If you would want to know more about this further videos in this series or the existingly published videos in this series, check the link in the description. Most importantly, consider subscribing to this channel if you are targeting an A-star and top universities, and you are a student of Cambridge curriculum, specifically IGCSE, O-levels and A-levels. See you in the next video.